What's up, Georgetown? My name is Mara. I'm a sophomore in the college studying Justice and Peace Studies and English, and today I'm going to talk about how I decided to choose my majors. Okay, so just for some context, I applied to Georgetown as a history major, but I was very much interested in the Justice and Peace Studies major. And as a student in the College of Arts and Sciences, I was automatically entered undeclared. And as a student who is undeclared, and a freshman, I wasn't allowed to take more than one course under the same department. And so that really forced me to go outside of my boundaries and take very, very interesting classes in order to fulfill certain core requirements or to kind of expand my repertoire of classes and see what I was more comfortable with. I took several very interesting classes, including classes called like Roman sexuality, justice and consumer culture, music in a multicultural world. These were all under departments that I never would have thought I would have taken, or class that I thought I would have taken, but ended up becoming very formative in helping me to choose my major, the Justice and Peace Studies major, and also helping me to kind of understand and get a better idea of exactly what I wanted to study in the first place. Kind of the first hurdle that I came across was I briefly considered transferring into the School of Foreign Service. I really liked maps. I really liked international relations. I was one of those kids who would play map games during class. And so I really thought that doing like an international relations focus, maybe culture and politics would be something that was interesting for me. But I decided that doing Justice and Peace Studies was ultimately the thing that I love the most, and I love looking at history, culture, etc. through that kind of lens of justice and peace studies. And so I ended up settling on that. Also, for full disclosure, they have a lot of econ requirements, and I am not good at econ at all. I cannot do numbers. I am fully solidly a humanities girl, and so I just decided that I could not do econ. I could not do international relations. I wanted to stick with justice and peace studies, and I wanted to stick with social action and storytelling as a form of social action, and kind of taking a historical lens to justice and peace studies in general. Personally, the real challenge for me was deciding what my second major would be. Most justice and peace studies majors do double major in something else, and for a while I thought it was going to be history, and I also thought I was going to minor in classics. However, I decided after the summer, after interning with a law group, that I no longer wanted to do something, first of all, historical. It was hard to get into history classes that I wanted to take and that were at a good time for my schedule, and so I decided not to do the history major. I also decided that I no longer loved law in the same way that I thought that I did. And so my career trajectory was kind of off balance after this past summer. But something that I've always come back to over and over and over again since I was a kid is literature. I've always loved reading. I've always loved writing. I've written in pretty much every single form, including poetry, prose, script, etc. I've always really loved writing. And I discovered in my freshman year of college this idea of like the meta narrative or the social imaginary through my freshman year Ignatius seminar called Expanding Our Social Imaginary. And in this class and throughout all of my classes at Georgetown, I've kind of discovered this concept of how we tell stories and how these stories end up contributing to our ideas of what a society is, what something should be or should not be, etc. Very sociological, and I got very much into sociology at one point, so I was considering that too. But I really loved looking at literature through this justice and peace studies lens, and so ultimately I decided to become an English major. And having like the justice and peace studies and English major duo is really fulfilling and really rewarding because there are so many different lenses that I like to look at stories through, and so many different ways to look at different conflicts, especially through like a literary point of view. And so I kind of combine two of the things that I'm very passionate about to create this dual studies program almost thing for me, and to be able to study all of these things that I'm very passionate about. I declared both of my majors really early into my sophomore fall. Luckily, I knew what I wanted to go into by the time sophomore fall came around. I wasn't pushed by any deadlines. And I basically filled out a Google form um, talking about why I wanted to be a Justice and Peace Studies major. And then I also emailed the English department head both heads of both departments confirmed it, and I sent both of those screenshots of confirmations to my undeclared dean, who confirmed them and put them into the system in the same day. And so the process of declaring your major is actually very easy and very simple. It all depends on exactly what you want out of your education. I decided that I wanted to do a double major rather than a double major and a minor, because I just really like having room in my schedule for electives and to be able to kind of like enrich my mind in other ways. For example, I'm taking decolonization in South and Southeast Asia right now. That is not it does not fulfill any of my requirements. It does not fulfill any of my major requirements. I'm just taking it for fun to kind of like get a better idea of these different Asian countries that I have an interest in. My specific interest is in, again, like conflict meta narratives and using storytelling as social change, which is a class I also took. But specifically within Asia and Asian America, with a focus on Southeast Asia. And so after I decided that, I kind of decided to choose my courses based off of those ideas of what I wanted to focus on. Of course, this is all just my experience and my journey with choosing my major. Everyone goes through something very different. I'm a humanities major. I know my STEM friends go through a very, very different process, depending if they're pre-med or not. And many people come into Georgetown thinking that they know exactly what they want to do, and then they decide that they want to do something else. That happens very often, happened to me. Several people also come in knowing what they want to do and they stick with it. Some people come in not knowing what they want to do at all and really taking advantage of being undeclared. But luckily, Georgetown has so many different resources to offer and so many different ways of helping people to choose their major. I hope your major journey is as satisfying and fulfilling as mine was for me. And I hope everyone has a great day. I'll catch you next time, Georgetown.